Hello and welcome to this new video on the i2 products. My name is Jean-Jérôme and I'm part of the i2 support team. Today I will show you how we can use software by a company called Senzing to find duplicates people in a database, in an iBase database. So here I'm using the user guide database with my database is in French, but the people are normal people. What I did is that I've added some duplicate peoples in a database to find some interesting things and to find duplicates in a database. By duplicates, I mean people who might have a slightly different last name or first name or date of birth. For example, there might be just one day off in their date of birth, or there might be one letter off or one letter difference or more differences in their last name or first name, and also in their gender. So what we would do first is we will start to install the software called Senzing Desktop. So let me show you. So I'm on Google and I will look for Senzing Desktop. Okay, so the first one, Senzing with the logo, try Senzing Entity Resolution Desktop Evaluation Tool, which is this one here. I'm clicking. You can choose between Mac and Windows. I am on Windows, so I will choose Windows. Okay, download is starting. So while it's downloading, the Senzing Desktop is a free software, and you can see here your initial download support 100,000 record free, which means that you can ask the Senzing Desktop to find duplicates up to 100,000 records. If your database has more than 100,000 records, then you can contact Senzing and they will be happy to work with you to provide you for a license for more records than 100,000. But here, my database has less than 100,000 records, so I will use this desktop evaluation tool. Okay, it's almost finished. The download is almost finished. It took about 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Okay, Senzing. So currently we are on July 5th, 2024, and the current Senzing version is 3.8.0. So let me install it on my computer. So just double click, and it's just a regular Windows install. Very easy to install. Next. Senzing, you can change it, of course. Next. Okay, install. So installing. So of course you need to have an admin account on your computer that allows you to install softwares. So I'm not cutting the install, so you see how fast the install is. Okay, good. So now that Senzing installed, I will go back to my iBase database. So here I've got a list of people. There are 414 people. Senzing will need to have a CSV file which lists all the people with their first name, last name, date of birth, gender, and also the unique ID. So here on my database, what I added to the database is I've added the record ID. The record ID is the unique ID of each record on iBase. You must have this displayed on the persons. If you don't have it, you can go into iBase Designer and then add the record ID field, and the type is record ID. You can choose the name you want for the record ID, but the type must be record ID. Okay, so next step is to export all the data, all the person's data. So I'm going to the export specification, which is here, go new. I want to export the entities. I want to export the record type being the persons. Then next, I will select the export file name. So let me go into Senzing. So output.txt or CSV. Let's go for CSV. SV and record. Okay, I want tab delimiter. I want this, I'll leave it as it is. Next. And so, so I'm sorry, but my database is in French, so prénom is first name, so I want to choose first name, then last name, which is nom, then sex or gender, and date of birth, date de naissance. Okay, and what's very important is I want the record ID. And the record ID, I will put it at the start. It's not mandatory, but it's easier. You will see why after. Well, it is mandatory, sorry. So you must put the record ID at the top. And you don't need to put anything else. Okay, so then next, and I want to choose all the records. So all records, run. You want to export, save this export specification? Yes. So export for Senzing. Okay, and it exported 414 people, which is correct. Close. Good. So now I will just minimize iBase. So let me launch Senzing Desktop tool. Automatically check for updates. No thanks. So Senzing comes with a demo project. I will just delete or remove this demo project. Okay, confirm delete. Yes. And I will create a new project. This project, I will call it user guide. Create. So I will add a data source. I'm on document Senzing. I'm selecting output person from user guide, CSV. Okay, open. Now it's loading the records. There are 414 records. Now I must review the mapping. Okay, so you've got a small introduction to mapping. I will click on dismiss. This is mapping guidance. I will also just remove this one. And we will work on the mapping. So you see here, we have the 5 fields that we exported from iBase. We've got a record ID, the first name, last name, gender or sex, and date of birth. Well, the names are in French, but this is what we have. First, we will work on the record ID. Record ID here, you must click anywhere here. And on the mapped to, you must go here on the little arrow, and you must check that the mapping is set to observation, and under observation, it's record ID. So here the mapping is done on the name of the field, but if the name was different, then you would have to select observation, then record ID. Then label, you must keep it blank. This is very important. The label of the record ID must be blank. Save. Then first name, I click on included. And here for the first name, so prénom, I'm going to map the prénom to first name. I click on the little arrow here. And I'm going to name. And on the name, you've got name first, full, last, middle, org, prefix, suffix. So this is the first name, so I select first. And here for the label, here you can enter, for example, person. So I like to put it in uppercase. Person, you can call it anything, but it's easier to call it person because we're working on a person. And I click on save. Then the name or last name, again, I click on the arrow here. Then name and last. And here for the label, I must put the same thing that I entered here. So person, if I just press P, it will, if I just press the first letter of person, it will give me person here. So I select it and I can save. So for gender or sex was correctly mapped with gender because sex is one of the names of words which are known which will automatically be mapped to gender. So, but I still need to change the label to person. Here, the label is E, so I must change it to person. So I click here, and label, I just replace E with person. Save, okay, and for the date of birth, include mapped to. So map to here, the date of birth is under attributes. Attribute, you've got citizenship, country of association, date of birth, which is the one I want to take, but let me go through the other attributes. You've got the employer, the gender, which we used here. You've got the group association ID, group association, nationality, the place of birth, the record type, the registration country, and the registration date. Here I would take the for date de naissance, which is date of birth in French, and label, again label, I would take the same one as the first name, last name, and gender or sex. So this is just press P for person and save. Okay. Now I will have to select the source name, so I can type in user guide, and I tick the ready to load. So you see now it says mapping and load. I can change the mapping if I want. If I want to change something, I can go here. I can go back here, and it tells me that I'm ready to be loaded. So I just click load, and it will load the 414 records. By load, it means loading the records plus finding all the possible matches. So it's quite fast, and it's done. And now instead of load, I do have now review. So let's click on review. So it's telling me that there are 23 duplicates and 31 possible duplicates. Duplicates is Senzing being pretty sure or almost sure or certain that the records are the same, and possible duplicates, Senzing is less sure, but from what I've seen and from what I've tested from Senzing, possible duplicates, it's almost certain that they are the same. And then you've got possibly related when the matching is less certain. So now, and you see here on the duplicates, at the bottom here, you've got some table with the matches, and you can see you've got the entity ID. So the entity ID is the entity ID from Senzing. It's not the entity ID from iBase. You've got the match key and data source, data name. So Mosberger Philip, and Philip, slightly different spelling for Philip. Godwin with a Y and Godwin with a I, Mark, and so on, John, Johnny, and so on. Now, what I want to do is I want to export those results. But to export those results to then be imported back into iBase, I must enable the show all columns. The reason is that I want to have the record ID field. So once I do have this, I click here on the arrow here, and then it's, so let me go to documents, Senzing, then here it's giving me user guide, duplicates CSV, save, and then I go on possible duplicates, and again I click on download or save, and save. Okay, so the part from Senzing is done. Now I will work in Excel. So on this folder, I have 3 files. The first file is the file which we exported from iBase with a list of all the persons. So if I look at the file, it opens in Excel, and I do have the record ID plus all the discriminator fields, which in this case are the first name, last name, gender, and date of birth. So it's very important that on this file which you exported from iBase, you must have the record ID plus all the discriminator fields. So for the persons, you might have, for example, you might also have the place of birth, or you might have different numbers of different number of discriminator fields, but you must have all the discriminator fields. So this is the first file that we need. Then, so don't save. Then I do have the duplicates and the possible duplicates. So I open this file, user guide duplicates. So this might be different, of course, depending on the file which was exported from Senzing. So I double click. This file here is correct, but you see that it's not splitting each field correctly. So I must select column A, then I go in data, text to columns. Okay, it's delimited. Next, I choose the comma. This is good. Then next, and here I don't want to take all the columns. I just need 2 columns. I need the entity ID and I need the record ID. So what I will do is I will say, I select this column, I press Shift, this one. So I select the column ER code, match key, and data source, and I say do not import column. Okay, so this one, the record ID, I will keep. Then I will also exclude or do not import all the other columns. So entity type, press Shift, name data, attribute data, and all the other columns. And press do not import column. Okay, and I click on finish. This is what I get. I get the entity ID and the record ID, which is what I want to get. So now I will do the same for the other file. Okay, so select column A, go to data, text to column, delimited, next, comma, this is good, next. Here also I want to keep only the entity ID and the record ID. So I select this column, Shift all the way to data source, I do not import. And then, so I keep the record ID and I select from the entity type column all the way to the last one here, press Shift. Okay, just checking that it's good and do not import. And finish. Okay, so this is good. So now what I want to do is I want to add all the records here to this file here, because I want to merge the 2 files. So I'm going here, I'm selecting all the records. Okay, Control C, then going here and Control V. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to sort the records by entity ID. So I select the 2 columns A and B, then I go in sort. My data has headers, yes, and I want to sort by entity ID. Okay. Now, let me explain how the information is stored here. So when Senzing finds that person A is the same as person B or is the same as person B, it gives for those two, for this unique person, it gives an entity ID, which is a Senzing entity ID. So it's not an iBase or it's not an I2 entity ID, it's a Senzing entity ID. This here means that the Senzing entity ID 10 means that in iBase, person PER-GEN 113 is the same as PER-495-GEN. And same for this, and same for this, and so on. Now, what I want to do, my goal is to import back the data as person A similar to person B, which means that on one line, I must have person A and person B. So what I will do here is, so first let me change the name here from record ID to record ID. Let's call it A. And here I will call it next column. I will call it record ID B. can call it record ID A1 and 2, or A and B. And now what I want to do is when the entity ID are the same, I want to bring this value here. And for this, so I could do it manually, but when you have dozens or hundreds or thousands of lines, it's not possible. So I will use an Excel formula, which is, so press equal, and I press if. So if the value of A2 is the same as the value of A3, then I want to bring the value here of B3. Otherwise, I just do nothing, so I just say that the value is blank. Okay? Yep. So now I do this, and I want to copy this formula all the way down. So I'm putting the mouse on the black dot here. The mouse changes to, or the cursor changes to a plus, and I double click, and it copies the information all the way down. So here I do have, for the entity ID 10, I do have that this person is the same as this person. But I also have this person which is the same as nothing. What I want is I want to only keep the lines of my Excel file where I do have person A and person B. So to do this, the first step is I will copy the column C. So Control C. I'm doing a right click here, and I say paste as values. See here we had a formula, and now we don't have the formula anymore. We have the value itself. And what I want to do now is I want to remove all the blank lines. So I select column C, I go in filter, then I go here on the arrow, I unselect everything, and I select only the blank values because I want to delete the blank values. So I'm selecting this all the way here, right click, delete rows. Okay, and I must clear the filter. So clear filter from record ID B. So before I continue with the Excel file, what I need to do first is check on my iBase database. There's a link type which will hold information that person A is a duplicate from person B. So here I'm on iBase Designer. I will connect to the database. Okay, the usual stuff. Let me see the link types. Link types, again, this is my database in French. I don't have any current link type which will store the information that person A is similar to person B. So I will create a new link type, new. I will call it duplicate, or I can call it similar. Let's call it similar. I can choose the color, the end type. So the end types, so let me list all the end types, and I will first untick everything. So the similar will be basically on the addresses, because you might have different addresses, different spelling of same address, and also the person, and also organization and organization. The rest, maybe not. Or I might add new end types later, but currently what I'm most focused is person. Okay. Those are the standard fields, and I will just add a new field, which is source, for example, and text. Okay, it's mandatory and it is discriminator. Okay, and I can also add a new field which I can call score, and it will be a real number. The real number will be a score. It can be from 0 to 1 or from 1 to 10, as you want. Okay, let me just change the order. Source, score, I put them. Okay, so I do have this new link type similar, which will allow me to input the information from Senzing saying that person A is similar to person B. Okay, so this is done. Good. Let me keep this like this. Okay. So now I'm going back to my user guide duplicates. So here I do have the record ID A, record ID B. The problem is that if we just have those information, the record ID A and record ID B, it's not enough to import the information or to import back the links between person A and person B. Because currently in iBase, when you import entity A, link entity B, you must have, for the entity A and entity B, you must have all the discriminator fields. But we do have a file with the record IDs and all the discriminator fields. And this file is in, it's here, is output person from user guide. So what I will do is I will open this file. I will copy everything. So Control A, Control C. I'm going back to this file here and I will create a new sheet. And I just paste this information here. What I want to do is I want for each record from this column and then each record from this column, I want to get the first name, last name, sex, and date of birth from this record ID. And for this, I will use a formula from Excel, which is VLOOKUP. So if you're not familiar with the VLOOKUP formula, just bear with me. So first thing is I need to take the headers from this sheet. So Control C, Control V, and what I will do is I will add, and you will understand why later, parenthesis 1, parenthesis, and superior. And I'm just copying this. And okay, and I do the same for last name, nom, sex, and date of birth. Okay. On a similar link type, I do have source and score. Let's go back to this. So here I will put source and score. So this will store the information from the person A. This will be for the link. And then I copy this, I paste it, and then I replace the 1 here with 2. 2. Okay, again, 2. 2. And 2. I can, to make things easier, what I can do is I can put some colors. So this is for person A, this is for the link, let's say blue, and this is for the person B. Let's put, so let's start to create the VLOOKUP formula equals, or the formula with the VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP, okay, so the VLOOKUP value, it's the value from the record ID from the column B. Okay, the table array will be sheet 1, and we take full value, the full table here. Okay, so then column index, so it's for first name, so first name is column B. Okay, and sorry, and the approximate match. No, we want the exact match and not the approximate match. So false. Parenthesis, enter, and we have an error. So yeah, sorry, it's not B, it's number 2. Yes, that's much better. So again, it's VLOOKUP. So the B2 is this value here. Then the sheet 1 A to E, it's this sheet here with a list of all the persons that were extracted from iBase, and column A to E is all those information. Okay, and then the two is the column number. So column number for first name is column B, and then false. So what I need to do before I continue is I need to add some I need to specify that when I copy this formula, it doesn't move too much. So I need to add a dollar here, then a dollar here, a dollar here, and this is good. So Philip. So now if I just check Mark John, so this is good. So now I want to do the same for last name, sex, and date of birth. So I need to copy this. And for this column here, so what I will do, I will just remove this. So for the name, the number, this stays, almost everything stays the same except the column number. So for the last name, the column number is 3. So 1, 2, 3. For the gender, it will be 4, and for date of birth, it will be 5. So last name is column number 3. So go back here, last name column 3. Okay, this is good. The gender is column 4. Okay, and date of birth is column 5. Column 5, you see here there is a number and not a date. This is because the format of the column is general, so I must change it to short date, and this is much better. Okay. Now for source, I will just force the value as Senzing, and for score I can put 1. Okay, then I can copy this all the way to here, and of course I must change because it will not be B2, it will be C2. So C2 is this one here, and then the rest is the same. So this will be for first name, this will be for, again, I need to change to C2, then C2, and C2. Okay. So I hope the formula is clear. If it's not clear, then you can just rewind and try to see the video several times. In a nutshell, the idea is to say, okay, here on the sheet 1, I do have the list of all the person from my database. This list of person was extracted from iBase, and it contains the record ID plus all the discriminator fields. So first name, last name, sex, and date of birth. And on this sheet here, I only have, well, initially I only have the record ID. And the use of VLOOKUP is to say, okay, just take this value here, and then search this value on the first column of this table here. And when you find this value, then you get the value on the same line for the column number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. This is what's VLOOKUP here. So let me just, if I want, I can just notepad. Let me just make it bigger. So it's VLOOKUP. So $B, so the dollar is important, otherwise it will mess up, because when you copy it, it will just move in different place. So VLOOKUP B2, so sheet one is the name of the sheet. It might be different, so but just change $A, $E, 2. So 2 is the column number, so it will be 2 for the first name, then 3 for last name, and 4 for gender, and so on. And then false. This is important. If you don't put false, you won't have the good results. So you must really put false here. Okay, so then I select this, I double click, and so score for score, made a mistake. Just thought I wanted to add an incremental, but I just want 1 everywhere. Okay, so this is, and I need to remove this. This is perfect. So now I take this and I will copy everything and I will put it in well, I do have this notepad here, so let me use it here. This is perfect. Okay. File, save as. Let me go into Senzing. Okay, and I want to put UTF-16 LE if you have some accents in your text. And save. Okay. So I don't need the Excel file anymore. Okay, I do have this file here. Good. So now I'm closing this file. I'm closing iBase Designer, and I will launch iBase User. So I'm going to create a new import specification. New. The import will be on links, and the links will be similar. It's a text file. I do not update existing field value with blank values. Next, it's from a person to a person. And what's important is to specify the link strength as tentative, because you never know if Senzing is correct or not, and you might have some people who have the same name, same first name, last name, but they are not the same person. So you must put it as tentative. And then the way it will work is when the analyst will work on those tentative links, then the analyst himself will validate or invalidate the fact that the persons are the same or not. Next, so I select now the file name. So it's Senzing ready to import. First record contains field names, the tab, auto detect format. Next. Okay, and now if you click on auto assign, you see that by the fact that I added the inferior parenthesis 1 superior, this will automatically match this field here with the field prénom 1, first name 1, because you have prénom here and prénom here. So if you don't put 1 and 2, then iBase will not know whether this prénom here, or first name, must go to person A or person B. But if you add this prefix here, it will help iBase into auto-assigning the values. Okay, so this is perfect. Next, check. And here, if a match is found, I don't want to update it. And if it's not found, I don't want to create it, because all the records which are on the import file are supposed to already exist in iBase. So I don't want to update it, and if it's not found, I don't want to create it for the entity A, for the person A and person B. Next, save it. So Senzing persons Okay, verify. Okay, so line number 34, going to convert to a date. So let me look at the, okay, why there are some problems with dates of birth. Senzing, so let me, so it's column 32. Yeah, so line 32, in fact, as the first line is the header, we must count 33. Yeah, okay, so it's the date is incorrect. Yeah, this is Excel with replacing null value by this value here. So what I will do is I would replace this value here, Control H, with just blank value. Replace all. Control S. Okay, let's go back. Verify. Yeah, much better. Okay. And back and run. Okay. Close. Now, if we look at one example, so let's say Barton. So if I look at the person Barton, I've got two Barton, Joe and John. And if I send them to an Excel book, chart, add to chart. Okay, so an Excel book is opening. You want to add these elements to the open chart? Yes. Okay, and if we look for the guide, search path, here is the path. So this is how to use Senzing to find duplicate people in your iBase database and then import them, the results, creating links between those similar people. I hope this video was clear, and if it's not clear, because it's a little advanced video, so because it's a little advanced topics, and if you have problems, you can ask questions to the i2 support team, or we can review the video again. Don't hesitate to leave some comments on this video. Thank you very much. Bye.